I can get started. So yeah, hi everyone. My name is Anwar. I'm a technical product manager at TELUS. So, what that means is, as a technical product manager, I've been working on TELUS's mobile apps, specifically on our internet hardware management. So, TELUS has a variety of different apps, and one of the big things is we want to make sure customers can maximize their internet connection and being able to customize their network and control devices connected to it. So I work a lot on bridging that hardware and mobile app gap. So it's been really a really great and rewarding journey. It's actually was my first job doing B2C, so business to actual consumers and customers instead of just business to business. So it really is great seeing the work you do actually helping individual families and community members and helping them, make their lives a little easier. So it's been a great experience and very excited to talk more about the role as well as a technical product manager and maybe hopefully helping anyone who's interested in going into a role like this.
Awesome. So yours is like more of a marketing and hands-on like engineering almost kind of role?
Yeah, so I would say like it is kind of you do wear a lot of hats. So as like a technical product manager, I think one of the big things is you do some of the marketing stuff about bringing products to the market. So bringing new features and kind of showing it to the customer as well as listening to the customer and seeing what they want. So a lot of the marketing principles of bringing something, hearing what the market wants, and doing all that. And at the same time, the technical aspect is I do work very closely with our engineering teams to start figuring out like what's feasible, what's not feasible, how can we get there. Obviously we want to make the best product we can, but there's a lot of technical limitations, a lot of things going in there. So we kind of do a little back and forth on balancing between what the consumer wants and what can we really do realistically. So I would say that yeah, I'm kind of the bridge between what our engineers are trying to build compared to what the market is trying to, or what the market desires.
Love that. I was just about to say like you're kind of like the bridge, like you connect both and keep them in check. So love that. Okay, next question. How did you get started in this industry and what has your career path been like?
Yeah, definitely. So I think you're probably going to hear from a lot of people that Avon's career path can be quite unique. And I think a lot of people actually differ from where they started off at. So I did my undergrad in electrical engineering. And so all my internships and co-op jobs while I was in school were all engineering related. So did some electrical engineering work, did some software engineering work, but it was very, very technical throughout my undergrad. And so when I actually graduated, I joined the semiconductor industry as an engineer. So I joined semiconductors, which are like microchips and all that good stuff. And it was a good time, but I think I was getting tired of being an engineer. A lot of times,
Mm,
a lot of engineering work is very, you put your head down, you're very focused on trying to solve a problem. And it can be very rewarding, but I found that I'm quite extroverted. I like talking a lot. Uh, and so I was kind of getting a little tired of just being kind of in my little corner, tinkering with my birds and writing my software. And I wanted to kind of get out there more. So I transitioned into a product marketing role. So in that role, I was very much focused on bringing a lot of the great work the teams are working on to the market, kind of showing it off to different companies and really trying to get some propulsion on new products we were bringing in. So I had a great time there. I actually then afterwards I moved over to another product marketing role with a software company focused on legal tech and had a great time there, kind of bringing in some AI solutions to legal teams and lawyers, and it was a really cool time. But I kind of was feeling I was missing a bit on the technical side. So during those roles, it was much more focused on more traditional marketing and kind of project management type of things where I was feeling a little disconnected from actually the tech and what we were building. So, in this newest role I took on, I really did enjoy kind of being in that bridge and still being close to the engineers, but also working on bringing these great features and functionalities out to a larger base. So it was a good in between, and yeah, I definitely love the role. I think it's been a great, great journey. And I think one thing that a lot of people will see when they start their career or have been experiencing is, your career can be so flexible. I think people get
yes.
worried that I'm going to task myself. I did like engineering. I will be an engineer for 20 years. And some people are, and that's amazing. But for other people, you might go on a different path and find your way. And yeah, it's a great experience, and I definitely recommend people to try out new things.
Yeah, I think like two questions like kind of like stand out to me. Do you think like you found your role, or do you think the role found you, more or less?
Mm. Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's a bit of both. So I think one thing I was feeling was I was getting a little tired of like traditional engineering work. So I was kind of pretty eager to try anything else. So I had a lot of interest in like a lot of the business functions. I did a minor in business in my undergrad, so I really kind of wanted to try out some of that stuff. And so to kind of be frank, I was kind of like, I'll just take any job that's not like pure engineering. So I was even trying to do some of the sales jobs, some of the other things. I was kind of like, I just want to kind of get out of the lab and try to be more of like in the front office of stuff. So I think at first I was just trying to wanted to try something new. But I think after a while, I started kind of thinking more about what do I want my role to be. So I think like getting to product marketing was great. I think it's a really rewarding job function, especially when you get it right. But I also kind of then was thinking I do want to be more technical, so I started trying to be a little more picky and finding a role that really I feel like I can grow in. And so I think, yeah, I think right now I definitely found something that I really enjoyed and really do want to maybe go delve deeper and be a real expert in.
I love that. Do you think like your undergrad or like what level of education that you were at, and then do you think your undergrad really mattered in the very end?
Yeah, I know that's a great question. So it's funny because I think undergrad can matter a lot or a little, depending on the person and the journey. I think first of all, I think all education is valuable. I think whatever you study is so valuable, no matter what your career you do.
I agree.
I think there's so many transferable skills with whatever you study, whatever you do, and even like some of my coworkers, like I think. I definitely took more of a technical background from my undergrad, but I have some coworkers who they just did like marketing business degrees. Some people do like arts degrees. I have a great coworker who did theirs in actual like language studies, and they do a phenomenal job. So I think the undergrad isn't as limiting as maybe it was in the past. But at the same time, I would say that um, having that undergrad with certain like positions and certain things are very valuable. Like I think, becoming an engineer without an engineering undergrad, it's possible and you can definitely do it, but it can be very difficult. And I think for my role, it's kind of nice that it's bridging so many things where you don't need to be an expert in one thing, but I think if you really want to desire to be, like a doctor or something, like you really need to make sure your undergrad like aligns with that. I mean, of course, there's people who get in there without, but I feel like it's much more challenging where some generalist roles, any undergrad can provide a lot of value.
Yes, of course. Did you do like any grad school?
No, I didn't. No, I just did
Ah.
my 4 years.
So it's
It
really
just
like the experiences that you had led you into the job.
Yeah, exactly. And so I mean, again, I think every job has transferable skills. So I think it was very valuable that some of these transferable skills really helped me kind of get my foot in the door and prove myself. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so what does a typical day look like for you?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. I
This was
think
actually your question.
I'm sorry.
This was actually your question worded. Like
Oh,
you submitted my project update, yeah.
oh, oh, I'm glad. I'm glad. So a typical day looks like for me. So I think it depends on like what's going on with like the company, the product, and such. So I think one of the cool things about my job, and one thing I really like, is every kind of week or month is quite different. So it really depends if we're about to release a new product and it's a big release. Like the focus is really going to be a lot on like checking in with like the QA teams. Is everything good to go? Checking in with the marketing teams. Are we ready to launch our campaign? Is everything ready to go? And so, and once we release it, then it's all just looking at analytics. Like, are customers enjoying it? Are we making sure we have bug-free experiences? Like, it's really focused on that. Where maybe after a bit of time, when we kind of pass that initial excitement, my work might be really kind of focused on just looking at market trends, seeing what the industry is moving towards. What are we building next? What are we going to iterate on next? So there's kind of some big differences in those. So some days are just full of meetings, aligning with people, making sure we're all on the same page, while other days are just focused on some deep work and really trying to figure out where are we going to take this product and this feature in the future, and making sure we're really aligned with what our consumers are looking for and wanting. So it can really differ. And, sometimes you have days where, like, you're working till late hours and time is flying, and other days you have a little more of a slower pace where you can really kind of start thinking and being focused on the future and stuff. So I think it's really great to have that variety in what you do.
I think this is more for me, but like, how do you really find out those market trends? Do you look at like other companies, or like market trends as in where economy is going, or like where the consumer wants? Like, I guess.
That is a really, really good question, and it's a $1 billion question, I think. I think a lot of it is an art and a lot of it is a science. So there's certain things that you do. So some of the big things you can do is a lot of times there's companies whose entire jobs are to create like market reports for big companies to use. So those are great resources to see, like, how is like the consumer health doing? How is the consumer doing with like their own finances? What are they valuing? So like a good example is at the beginning of the pandemic, or like kind of the middle of it, a lot of consumers, their real focus was on internet bandwidth. Like, because they're all remote, they wanted to
Mhm.
maximize the bandwidth as much as possible. So we actually saw with like big releases of like Wi-Fi 6E, Wi-Fi 7 it came out of that last year, where now a lot of times customers are trying to get the most of the bandwidth. So what they care about most is, I want the most amount of internet I possibly can have in my household, because I'm home, my wife is home, like the kids are home, everyone's
I'm
using the
really
same
bored.
net. Exactly. I just want more. I don't care the cost. I want more. And so then, then you obviously try to make your roadmap so you can give customers more. But I think in other industries, I was actually reading this great thing about the fast food industry, where a lot of companies now are focused on value packages, where food and inflation is so expensive now, where consumers, we need food to live, but a lot of consumers are saying, I don't want to go and pay $15 for like a burrito or something. So we're seeing companies now going and actually trying to do more value meals. I think Starbucks revealed like a drink and like a sandwich combo for $6. McDonald's is trying to bring back the dollar menu. So I think you're starting to see a lot of trends kind of coming back. So and again, like, there's some science to it where you can see what people are doing and trends and stuff. But there's also an art about just like knowing what people really want. So there's a really famous quote from Henry Ford, where if I listen to my customers, they would just want faster horses. So
Yeah.
no consumers couldn't imagine like a car. Like, that's a very revolutionary idea. So if you just ask consumers, they're like, I just want a bigger hearse, I want a faster hearse. But he was able to see, like, okay, you don't want a faster hearse, you just want to get to place A to B faster. So I'm gonna make you something that gets you faster, even though you're not saying that. So there's a bit of an art form in really figuring out what's the customer problem, what's the issue, and getting there. So again, I think that's kind of the challenging part of the job, is figuring out like what's the art of it, what's the science of it, and how can you really predict the future.
You're super enthusiastic. I love that. This is, if I was doing my job, I would want to be this enthusiastic about it. Yeah. So what skills or qualifications with a soft skill focus do you think are essential for someone in your position?
Yeah, that's again, I feel like a broken record, but another great question. I think one of the big soft skills for any job, but especially one where you are kind of working with a lot of teams, is communication. I think communication can either have everything going so smoothly or can sink your ship. Especially whenever you work with so many different teams and stakeholders, it is so important that everyone is on the same page. And sometimes that means being the bearer of bad news. One of the more difficult things I think at my job is like telling people that, we can't do this, or like that this isn't possible, that we can't meet this deadline, or this will not be a good experience for our customers, and kind of being the bearer of bad news and ruining kind of some people's weeks or days of plans. But I think just being open and frequent with communication is so important. So I would say that that's a critical skill for my job. Other things like time management is really important to making sure that you prioritize the work properly. I think with so many spinning plates, if you don't prioritize, you can just be working into the late hours and burn yourself out. That it's really important to figure out what do I need to do now and what can I maybe do a little later when stuff slows down a bit. But yeah, I would say those are kind of two really, really important ones. And I think for every career, but especially for mine.
Yeah, I think every career and almost every life stage, basically, friends, family, whatever. So what are the biggest challenges you face in your role? I guess it kind of goes with the above.
Yeah, yeah. I think one of the biggest challenges would be would be actually keeping everyone kind of aligned. So oftentimes whenever you try to do a big project of anything, you have so many stakeholders and kind of making sure everyone is on the same page, everyone's aligned, and everyone's in agreement with the value you're trying to do. Can be really tricky. Every team has what they're trying to strive for, what they're trying to do, and if you're proposing something that maybe doesn't give them as much immediate benefit, it can be hard to align on it and get everyone together that this is what we should be doing as a team, as a company, that we should be pushing forward. So it can be quite difficult at some point, but I feel like, anything hard to do is worth doing. So while challenging, it is also very rewarding when you can get everyone together on these central missions.
Yeah, it's like that. It's like that quote. It's what? No pain, no gain. Something like
Yeah,
that.
exactly,
Okay.
exactly.
Next question. What do you find the most fulfilling about your work slash would you say you are fulfilled?
Yeah, so I think I was mentioning at the beginning. So the role I work with now, like I'm working with a lot more consumers and customers directly instead of businesses. And I actually think one of the most rewarding things about my job is every day I actually read the feedback from our app, and so oftentimes a lot of feedback can be quite negative, which is good. It's always good to hear why people aren't enjoying things, so you can help solve that problem. But you sometimes get some feedback or some from people saying like, wow, like this is great. Like this helped me do XYZ and this is awesome. And I really, really do strive for that. And I think any job and any work, you're trying to help out other people, you're trying to make the world a bit of a better place. So I think I try to do my job as well as I can because we have so many consumers, so many customers who, if I do my job well, their lives get a little easier and a little better. And I think it's so good to see and hear that from people. So I think just hearing and seeing the feedback and making knowing that we're helping our customers and giving them a better experience, making their days just a little easier is just very rewarding and very fulfilling indeed. I think it's very nice to kind of see that from everyday people.
I think just a short like insert question. How do you like bounce back from those bad reviews or maybe like they're like really targeting you or maybe they're just mad about something not working on their side?
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I think for me, I think the big thing is you never take anything personally. So if someone gives a bit of a nasty feedback, I think one of the big things is you realize it's not against you. This person's frustrated, and that's valid. I think we've all been there. Like when my computer doesn't load or like some an app like gives me an error screen, like everyone gets frustrated. I can completely sympathize with that. And I think the big thing is you try to figure out what happened and what went wrong, like what is this person complaining about, what's the issue, and really trying to go and you take that back and you try to fix that issue just so other customers can have rewarding experiences. So I think not taking it personally, but making sure you understand it. Like this is a customer frustration, and while they could have said it a lot nicer, it is a valid concern that you should take back and try to fix and make it a little better.
Yeah. But like don't take it to heart.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
um how would you describe the work culture at your company? So this could be like office culture, anything.
Yeah, yeah. So I would actually say one thing at TELUS, the company I work at, and I think this is one of the big standards. So it's quite a large company in Canada. But one thing I really like about it is everyone is so friendly. I like with every team I work with every team member, everyone. I think it's really created a culture of kindness, which I think is so important. That no matter it could be a tough situation, we might be having an escalation, we might be having something really critical happening. Everyone there is always kind and is trying to focus on solving the problem, solving the issue, and really making sure we have that culture. just of kindness and of support. I think it's so important, and I feel like a large company, it's hard to maintain. And I think that's one thing I really enjoy about the company is just making sure that no matter the issue, no matter what's going on, that people still show that consideration to one another.
You know what I just remembered, like, just a small fun fact. I was in Canada like 2 weeks ago for a vacation, and then like because I had international data, it automatically connected to TELUS. I didn't even realize that. I was like, wait, I've heard of this company before when I searched you up, and I was like, wait, I don't remember though, but now I remember. So
Oh,
yeah,
that's awesome. Oh, I hope it was a good experience.
it works perfectly fine.
Oh, that's great. That's great. But
Yes.
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Not to go too off topic, but where in Canada did you go visit?
We went to Glacier National Park, and then we went up to Waterton National, so like Alberta and then Montana.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
that's a beautiful part of the country. I haven't had a chance to go, but I've had people who did. So it looks always beautiful. So oh man, hope you had a great time.
you should go too. Okay, I think I know we went over time, so I'm just trying to make this faster. Are there any misconceptions about your job or industry?
Yeah. I also with the time, don't worry about the time at all. And I have nothing after this. Any common misconceptions about the job? I think when you often hear about like product managers or like technical product managers, people often say that like you're the CEO for the product. You have to take charge and lead it. And um, I think that sounds nice, but I think in reality you don't really have any authority. I think you have to really learn to lead without authority. So you're not a manager of anyone. You're not going to help. You can't fire anyone. You can't promote anyone. So I think one thing you have to really understand is that you're working with so many other people who are all autonomous and making sure that you guys can all work together on the central goal. So you really have to work on bringing people aligned with what you want. Because yeah, you're not like in any type of like senior leadership position where you can really just tell people what to do. So I feel like that's one misconception when people like look into product management or a technical product management roles.
Yeah, I think everyone just says like people can be the worst sometimes. Like you can't do anything about it. You just have to stick with it. Like
Yeah.
yeah. What advice would you give to someone looking to enter this field?
Oh man. I would say probably, as I mentioned before, like people enter this field with so many different backgrounds and skills. I think one of the most valuable things you can have if you want to work in like this product management is just being able to build something. So I think just building something and showing it off, I think is one of the most impressive things you can, since launching a product or bringing something to market is very difficult and can be very tough. And so if you have work experience doing that, that's fantastic. But if you don't have work experience, but you want to get into this field, just doing a small personal project and like kind of showing it off that like what problem you try to solve, how did you bring it to people, how were you able to get people's interest to help like with the solution. It's so massive. So I would really recommend, like, if you do want to break into this industry, try just building something. It could be super small, it could be super simple, but it shows so much understanding of what we try to do, which is so impactful. I would also recommend, networking is always important. I think it's always great to network with people with roles you're interested in. And I feel like a lot of people are always happy to chat and happy to maybe give you little insights, tips, or tricks. But yeah, I feel just being able to build something end to end is so valuable.
I like that. Like taking initiative, almost like also testing out the waters. Like you never know if you like it or
Yeah,
not.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Um, this question is more specifically for your career because of marketing. So, are there any specific tools or technologies that you heavily rely on in your work?
Um, so in work itself, I use a lot of like analytic tools. So we use a lot of like Google Analytics, Adobe Analytics, a lot of these analytics tools, and
Mhm.
even like like I even like pure marketing, you do a lot of like analytics with like MailChimp campaigns, same thing with like Google site visits and stuff. So I would say it's not as important to get familiar with these tools as it is maybe getting familiar with just like common data analysis methodologies, like making sure you understand like what is like a statistically significant sample, what is like a good statistically significant like insight. So I think when you deal with a lot of data, and like a lot of marketing is looking at data analytics, is making sure that like you find the truth in the data, since sometimes if you just look at the raw numbers or you just look at the data without some kind of understanding of the statistics, you can really get the wrong output and can be more damaging than can be good. So I would say that, yeah, like I wouldn't say any specific tools or technologies, but just really making sure you do your homework on like data analytics, and as well as any like and as well as knowing the market you're working in.
Did you learn most of the like data strategies from school, like statistics wise?
I did. So I actually statistics was one of my favorite subjects in class. I would actually recommend everyone to take a statistics class. But there's a lot of great tools online, so you can find like a lot of great resources online, and Google or ChatGPT, and there's a really like there's such a plethora of information right now that I think everything I learned in my undergrad, someone can learn from like a YouTube video or like a good Medium post and stuff. So I feel like, yeah, you don't need to feel gate kept by education.
Awesome. So looking back, is there anything you wish you had known before starting your career?
Yeah, so hindsight's always 2020. I think everyone can go back and try to think about it. I remember I was talking actually to my partner when I graduated from undergrad. I was interviewing with Nvidia, and like I don't think I studied too much for the interview, and I don't know if you know, but Nvidia skyrocketed
Yes.
the stock price, and I was like, damn, if I got that job, I would have been like a millionaire now. But
Yes.
you could never go back and like change the past. So I actually try to avoid looking back, but I think one thing I would probably tell myself is just like, just uh, follow what you believe and just try hard. I think as long as you work hard and you just follow what you think is right, you're going to find success. That you're going to find what you want and you're going to do what you want. And that there's so many external factors you can't control, that the only thing you can really control is the effort you put into it and the path you take. So those are really the two things I would just recommend anyone to focus on, and not get too regrettable about, not buying Bitcoin or not studying harder to get into MIT or something.
Yeah. Well, it's it's okay. I think my sister talked about something like her boss or something had like stock in Nvidia, and then he like made it over fourfold, something like that. It's crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
But can you recommend any resources for someone interested in this field?
Yeah, so I think a really good one is it's called Lenny's newsletter. It's a really good newsletter as well as a really good podcast. So Lenny, he's a product manager, and he brings in a lot of amazing product managers from like a different industries, different levels of seniority, and they always have a great topic. And I think it really gives a good insight on the different aspects of like creating a product and bringing it to market. So I've actually really enjoyed almost every episode, and I think each one of it is super insightful. So I think it's actually one of the best resources to kind of see how being a PM is like, as well as learning a lot of those really key critical skills as well. So I definitely recommend that. I think that's a really good one. Uh, and yeah,
Lenny spelled Lenny.
yeah, I can send you the link to like the page after this too.
Awesome. Is it on Spotify?
I don't know actually. I know we listened to it on YouTube actually. So I don't know if there's a Spotify link, but I'll check that out. I'm sure there
Okay.
is. I feel like there's some everything's on Spotify now.
Okay. I will end the recording. Obviously, I was gonna say big thank you. Thank you for this. I'm gonna end it. Stop recording.